What do you say we get it started? Threw in a little millennial pause for you there. I'm a proud millennial. My generation, me and my generation. I don't give a shit. I don't have I feel like if you were born in the mid to late 80s, you really don't have a generation to identify. You're just kind of lost in between Gen X and the millennials. Like you got a little bit of that semi-abusive parenting from that Gen X experience, like that kind of that sort of that wasteland between like neglect and abuse where it was just kind of like a lot of microwaved dinners and shit, basically everything that's discussed in Are You Garbage, but you missed all of the coddling of the later millennials and the Gen Zers, so you just kind of existed in this odd space. Anyway, we are we are pre-recorded today. Yes, this is a recording. I didn't accidentally go live, right? Yeah, we are pre-recorded today. I have to go to a gathering in short order here, so I wanted to get something up for you to enjoy on Friday night, or maybe you don't enjoy it. Maybe you actively dislike it, and you hate watch the show. So if you do that, then you can do that too. Um, Next week, I believe I will be able to get on live next week. There will be a couple weekends in October where I'm not able to do any, but next week I should be good and I should be able to get live. So that's nice. Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler, and of course you can find this show on YouTube at Mike's Golden Streams. And the best place to reach me is really to just hop into the comments here. That's where I am most active on social media. Last week I had to pre-record. It was the San Gennaro feast. I love the San Gennaro feast. If you're ever in New York, if you're going to do a New York City trip in like September, October, plan it around the San Gennaro feast. You can eat quite well. It's gotten a little diluted because so many of the stands that set up now are just like those random like meat on a stick stands, but it's still a fucking banger. You got to just know the right spots to go. I always suggest the little beer garden outside of the Mulberry Street Bar. The Mulberry Street Bar, if you're a Sopranos guy, you would know that as the place where Johnny Sack and his guys are usually hanging out. And if they have a sit down or something like that, it's in what looks like almost like a little restaurant in Little Italy, and it's got like the big paintings and stuff in the background. And then there's the bar. That is Mulberry Street Bar where they shot that. That's right on Mulberry. I think it's between like Mott and I forget the other one. But yeah, you go there, you throw back a few Peronis, you smoke a cigar outside, and then there are like pizza and sausage sandwich stands lined up all around. So like you fucking go, you grab a couple slices, you come back, you fucking cram them down, and you drink some beers, and it's a good time. We were there, for a couple hours on Friday night hanging out. There were these guys, just this incredible group of just boozed up New Jersey fucking Italian stereotypes, which are really my favorite kind of people. Like if I had to be surrounded by anyone, it would be people like this. Anytime someone walked by wearing anything, even I don't even think it had to be a Trump hat. It just had to be red, white, and blue. Like anything that they could get to associate someone with Trump, they would just start chanting Trump and cheering for people. And then they were going around telling people that they were they were the Asian Americans for Donald Trump is what they were referring to themselves as, which I found very, very funny. Which juxtaposed with I was waiting my lady friend was going to get the car. She was pulling it around the corner. She's Cuban, so she drove. I'm Italian, so I got to go and do all the drinking. It was nice. It was my day. All right. You know what? If we were celebrating the defeat of the invaders at the Bay of Pigs, perhaps I would do the driving. But yeah. So I'm waiting to get picked up, and all of a sudden I hear a ruckus coming down the street, and I see like blue lights, and I hear like this sound getting louder and louder, and it's one of those student Palestine protests where all of it. I don't think there was a Middle Eastern person in sight during this thing. It was literally a small mob of dozens of what looked like NYU students just marching around in fucking keffiyehs, and like they're all white by the way, for the most part. There were a few like very stereotypical sort of campus liberal types, like, a fucking like overweight Asian chicks or some shit like that with purple hair. Like there were a couple of those, but it was mostly just what looked like really like, rich white kids. It's very clearly a social thing for these people. Like that this has no. That's why when people say we need to listen to the college students, I'm like, that's the dumbest fucking shit ever. People are like, every time the college students have been on the right side of history, we should start listening to them. And you're like, no, not fucking every time. College students are stupid about a lot of shit. In fact, I would say, and we're going to talk about college students plenty here later on, I would say that most college students are complete fucking idiots. And I strongly identified as a college student when I was a college student, and I can tell you that I was a complete fucking idiot, as were most of the people around me. And I went to a very, very rigorous academic college. Like it was I had a 1270 on my SATs, and I had to like grind to get the fuck into this place. So it was, and everyone there was still very, very stupid. So I just kind of stood on the corner while this mob engulfed me and walked past me. They're like chanting and like fucking, there's this just air of like self-righteousness, but also it was all very, very performative. And I was just standing there eating fucking Zeppeli the entire time, which if you've never had Zeppeli, it's one of the greatest things in the world, one of the great desserts in the world. It's fried dough covered in powdered sugar. It's fucking incredible. If I'm tripping over words, it's because I fucking bit into a piece of chicken, and there was like a little bone in there. I broke a piece of one of my back teeth, so they put like a temporary cap on it while I wait for the replacement, like the fix to come. They got to put a fucking sliver on. So like the entire layout of the back of my mouth now is different than what it was. So my tongue is still trying to figure out how to hit certain words. It's a little weird because I had another one that was broken in the back that I didn't realize was broken. I must have got it when I was in the fucking Marine Corps playing football or something like that. And then when they pointed it out, I kind of did a little comparison. I was like, oh, holy shit. So they fixed that one as well. So like the layout of the inside of my mouth has completely changed in the past couple of weeks. So it's I've been stumbling over some words. But yeah, it's the college kids are back on campus, so it is time for more pro-Palestine protests. I love how people are saying that it's scary that Israel could blow up Hezbollah's pagers because then they could do that to our phones, because they think that what happened is Israel figured out some way to just remotely make the pagers blow up, as opposed to stuffing them with it's as opposed to controlling the actual product and stuffing them with explosives and intentionally giving them to Hezbollah. Very, very, very funny how stupid some people are. before I get into I have two articles I want to jump into, but before I do that, I just saw this thing on social media, um, and it just kind of like sometimes something will just be stupid and catch my eye, and there's this company Foreplay Social Dating. So I guess what they do is set people up on double dates, and they have this slideshow on Instagram of different little cards where it says best foreplay date story, go, and each card has a different foreplay date, and according to the caption, number 7 is blowing our minds. You win. So we'll see what happens when we get to number 7. Number 1, best foreplay date story, go. One of the guys was a surfing instructor at Rockaway Beach, so we all went and learned to surf. That doesn't sound believable at all, by the way. I don't believe that. I don't believe anyone would go. What woman would agree to go on a date to Rockaway Beach? Rockaway Rockaway, it's not like a beautiful, it's a beach out in fucking Queens. Like, I go to Coney Island once a year to do the polar plunge, but that's an event. If some guy tried to lure a woman out to Rockaway Beach, I assume she would think that she was going to get murdered. That I can't imagine wanting to go out to Rockaway Beach. And getting in the water on a first date, we all got in the water. That's a little weird. I don't believe it. It sounds made up. Best foreplay date story, go. Karaoke on a Wednesday night, surprisingly popping. I would rather just kill myself. I was thinking of something clever to come up with, and you know what? I don't, through whatever means. I would rather be falsely imprisoned by the state and put on death row or whatever they're protesting about this week. Yeah, I fucking hate karaoke. I'll watch if I'm in a bar and there's karaoke. There's one place in Point Pleasant where people show up and they do very good karaoke. Like this is their thing. They do it all the time. I would kind of watch that, like if it by happenstance was going on at a bar that I was at. The thought of going out to do karaoke, like people rent those karaoke rooms. Get the fuck out of here. It just feels like the worst thing in the world. I've been to them. It's awkward because you do karaoke all night for like 3 hours. You're in there doing karaoke. It's not fun. It's not even fun to do it's not fun to get up and sing. Karaoke is for people who don't have personalities. There's this whole like collection of activities for people who can't sit around and have a conversation. They're just not interesting enough. So they have to throw in these things to make it wacky. Like fucking karaoke is big time up there. Or like those bars where there's a massive Connect 4 on the table or something like that. It's just very, neither of us is interesting. So let's do this to fucking make it easier on ourselves. Rollerblading in BK, Brooklyn. For those of you not in the New York area, BK is Brooklyn. They went rollerblading in BK. I'm assuming it was 4 men with mustaches and cut off jeans, but yeah. Again, that feels made up. Like going on a rollerblading date in Brooklyn is one of those things that like. It feels like someone who has decided that basic white person is going to be their personality. Like they're going to really lean into for a while the basic bitch aesthetic, and basic bitches are going to exist. I think for time immemorial now, because the internet has made so many things so popular among such a swath of the white population that basicness has really, it's given people, it has given people who were once dullards an identity. And that's rollerblading in Brooklyn is another one of those things where it's like, oh, you're not interesting enough to be around, so we have to do this stupid fucking activity. And by the way, rollerblading in Brooklyn sounds like a terrible idea. Brooklyn is one of those places where cars are constantly like jumping the curb and fucking slamming into bodegas, and there's a lot of crime. And like, if I was a criminal, I would rob the shit out of a person on fucking rollerblades, because most people aren't very good on rollerblades, so they're not going to make a quick escape. They're going to fucking struggle. They're going to try to get around you, and then they're going to fall flat on their face, and then you can take all of their possessions, which is what I hope happened on that date. Let's see, next one. Best foreplay date story, go. Met two guys at one of your events and had an impromptu foreplay date with them after. That to me, I read that as like they went back to someone's house and fucking all just got in each other's business. A lot of passing back and forth and fucking, you ever see those? Every once in a while there will be a fucking, for whatever reason, step porn is huge these days. And one of the big things to do is for stepmothers to trade off with each other's stepsons, and it'll just be two MILFs on their fucking knees sucking off two fucking 20-year-olds with that stupid broccoli hair. I'm assuming something like that is what unfolded here, if it's going to be the best foreplay date story. Otherwise, it sounds like two losers meeting two losers at a fucking dating mixer. Best foreplay date story, go. We went to Bua in the East Village and accidentally spent $400 on dirty martinis. So there's four of you. 400 divided, you each spent $100 on dirty martinis. That is not even remotely true. You each had a couple dirty martinis, probably. Let's say those dirty martinis were going off $18 a pop, is what like a stupid fucking bougie New York City place that assholes like this would go to. That's about what they're going to charge you for a dirty. For 18, so that's, say you each had two, because really, like, I love a good dirty martini, but fucking, you're getting it, you get 2.5. Otherwise, you're fucking dead. Especially if you're paying like top dollar for one, you're probably gonna get one reasonable size. They might even give you like the rest from the shaker. You're just fine after two. Because assuming two of these are women, no chick is getting to a third fucking dirty martini without food. So they bought food definitely got food. And then we're probably talking about 400. Is that with, assuming that's the most inflated number they could give you, because that's what they're trying to do here. That's probably with tip as well. So this is not a wild thing. You didn't do a wild thing. 4 people sat down at a place in the East Village and wound up spending a combined $400 on drinks and snacks is probably the most reasonable thing I have ever heard. That's not wild, all right? That's fucking, saying you accidentally spent, because that they're saying accidentally as though it's this crazy thing for 4 people to spend $100 each at a fucking overpriced fucking shit joint in the East Village. Go fuck. I'm imagining the kind of people that did this, and I fucking hate them. I absolutely fucking hate them. Best foreplay date story, go. Pickleball. Pickleball is another activity for whites who have no personality. Um, if you never got to experience the rush of true athletic competition when you were younger, and you fucking grew up sort of like a fucking, you know, an unassuming cuckold, pickleball is a great sport for you because it's not incredibly like it's for geriatrics is what it is. It was made so that old people would be moving laterally and forwards and backwards so that they would build the central nervous system skills to avoid fucking face planting. And then it just got, I think what happened is during lockdown, I want to say it was during lockdown, the a lot of people started moving in with their parents, like with their boomer, like a lot of millennials started moving in with their boomer parents, like a lot of families kind of tightened the circle, and it became like a family activity, and then that became sort of boring white people flock together. So boring white dudes date boring white chicks, and they just continue doing boring white activities. And I think what really happened is pickleball started because of lockdown with a lot of boring white people living with their parents. I had an awesome time during lockdown living by myself, fucking going out. I was relatively fresh out of a long relationship, and I just spent much of lockdown trying to slay ass on Bumble. It was a lot of fun. I did that, and I got a few training certifications, and smoked a lot of weed, did some mushrooms. Good time. But boring white people moved in with their parents and went in search of other, as the lockdown ended, they drifted towards other boring white people when they returned to the dating pool, and pickleball became a very, very popular activity amongst these people. Best foreplay date story. Go. We met them for drinks at Ruby's in 2023. Now we're both dating them. Best answer. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is it maybe you're dating both of them, and one of them hits you behind closed doors, and the other one is a closeted homosexual who's having discreet affairs on the side and possibly bringing dangerous STDs into the bedroom. Then it wouldn't be the best answer. And who's to say that isn't happening? But yeah, so I wanted to share a little bit of that because I saw it and it entertained me. What do we got next? So apparently, and I did not realize this until the summer was winding down, but it was the Rat Boy summer. I know they had a Rat Girl summer a couple years ago, and it was just chicks, mostly I think from like Brooklyn and parts of Manhattan, who were looking for an excuse to be disgusting slobs for a summer. The Rat Boy summer is, I guess this summer, men who look like hot rodents are the most eligible bachelors out there. This is from Men's Health. You probably wouldn't describe rodents as hot, but the term hot rodent boyfriend has been unavoidable online over the past few weeks. You may be thinking, what the fuck? Or wondering, is this another example of outrageous slang that has spawned from the minds of Gen Z? The answer to which is, well, yes. Regardless, it's clear from coverage that we're in for a Rat Boy summer, and the rodents are coming out to play. The term is a partial product of this summer's horniest film, Challengers, which stars Mike Feist and Ratatouille superfan Josh O'Connor as the love interests of Zendaya's character, Tashi Duncan. That, I mean, if that is not a fucking writer's room name, I don't know what is. Tashi Duncan, who dominates them on and off the court. Yes, there's that scene where Zendaya is about to get double teamed by like these two guys in like they look like a couple of dorks. Let me see if I can find it. Let's have a look. Yeah, there it is. One sec. Allow me to present them to me. Yeah, so that's Zendaya in the middle, and I guess she's about to get fucking double stuffed by these two fucking guys she plays tennis with. But these are, obviously these are Hollywood versions of it. Like this, I would imagine these are like the best looking version of the Rat Boy that you're going to get. So it was stuff like this that inspired it. Many of Hollywood's biggest names have helped coin the new phrase, including Timothée Chalamet, Barry Keoghan, I guess that's how you pronounce the name, Kieran Culkin, and Maddie Healy. And it's been pushed into the mainstream by women online, with many of them expressing a desire for a partner with hot rodent qualities, which I think, and this is the problem with the way I think a lot of women think. Because with men, it's just like, well, does she have a fat ass or does she not have a fat ass? Are you an ass man or a tit man? Ass man, tit man, ethnicity, hair color. Kinda, we're very general. We're very like, give us a nice vague category. Women come up with these insane sort of highly specific things that they obsess over for very brief periods of time. And a lot of times it's because of outside influences. Like with guys, it's just like, oh yeah, I saw a big fat ass. Big fat asses make my dick move. I will go after women with big fat asses. Like that's how a guy thinks. Women see a few guys from Hollywood who have like sort of wiry features and decide that they want to find a guy who looks like a rodent for themselves. Except I think what they don't realize is that the Hollywood guys are, when you see them, have professional makeup on. They've gone through wardrobe. Everything has done to make them visually appealing. Even if they're supposed to be the ugly guy in the show or in the movie, there's still enough work done to give them an aesthetic that won't repulse the audience. They're like Mo Sislak when he was in the soap opera, when he became whatever they call it, like Hollywood ugly or whatever. The hot rodent qualities, a way of describing a skinny, lanky, unconventionally attractive dude who does not embody stereotypical macho attributes. He has more of a pointed, angular facial structure that is almost rat or mouse-like. He rocks messy hair, sports vintage clothing, and to borrow the internet's phrasing, is so wan as to appear one cigarette away from death. This is the type of man who constantly smells of Santal 33, musky tobacco, and stale coffee. What is Santal 33? I guess this is a this is a $235. Oh, it goes for $335 at Bloomingdale's. So he smells like $300 cologne, tobacco, because he smokes, and stale coffee. So basically, and appears one cigarette away from death. So he's a frail, out of shape smoker. See, that's the problem. That, as depicted on screen, there may be an aesthetic appeal and a kind of romanticism to it. That in real life doesn't exist because the guy who smells like stale coffee and cigarettes and looks like he's ill to the point that he's on death's doorstep if he smokes one more cigarette, that guy does not have attractive features. Like that rodent look is not coming from the health and vitality of the Hollywood makeup chair. It's coming from a life of mistreating one's body. So the Santal 33, you're not getting that fragrance on this guy. You're going to get the smell of cigarettes and coffee and the vintage clothing. I know you're saying vintage clothing. It's not vintage clothing. This guy in real life just hasn't updated his fucking wardrobe in years. He's just wearing old stuff because that's what he has, and he doesn't give a shit. The messy hair. Hollywood, the messy hair is done with intention, and it's elaborate, and there's been product put into it, and it's actually probably quite clean. The messy hair with the rat mouse guy is just filled with fucking dandruff. So this is, again, and this is why, by the way, when they say that women pay the pink tax on products, it's because women can be fucking conned just into anything, including lusting after just dirty. This guy's just dirty. This is just a dirty guy from Brooklyn. And I think what they've really done, because I think a lot of guys out there, this is very much a New York City thing. Again, like because New York and LA are these cultural centers, so a lot of shit like this is while it appears in an international publication, is very based in those places. But I'm sure Chicago's got a little of that too. These guys embrace their unconventional looks and break away from the more overtly muscular macho sex appeal that has become expected both from our male celebrities and regular guys too. No, it's not what's going on. These guys don't take very good care of themselves. Again, they don't have hundreds of dollars to spend on cologne, unless, of course, they are of that sort of Brooklyn ilk who is living off of their parents. Then, perhaps. But still, this is a gross person. And we have to stop celebrating gross. Gen Z started they dress gross. It's gross is not attractive. Stop glamorizing gross. Despite its ugly name, this trend could actually be a good thing for some men's self-image, as well as their dating prospects. A hot rodent man really just is the internet's newest way of romanticizing or glamorizing what's otherwise known as a normal guy. No, it isn't. No, it is not. A normal guy, I would say a normal guy, it depends what kind of normal guy you mean. Normal guy, making below median income is sweatpants, energy drinks, farting, living at home, fucking blowing money on DraftKings, smoking a lot of weed. That. Normal guy above the median income, fantasy football dork, probably plays fucking pickleball, fucking, one night a week is out for wings and beer, has some sort of weird nondescript job in, outside sales or business to you just you can't quite put your finger on what he does, but he has to dress business casual at a minimum when he goes to work, and client dinners of some kind seem to be a big thing for him. That's the normal guy. The overwhelming majority of men who simply don't look like Hollywood stars. Similar to how the dad bod movement celebrated guys like Patrick Mahomes and Jason Kelsey. No, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes got caught on a weird camera angle having what looked like a dad bod. He's an elite athlete. He trains for all sorts of like change of direction and shit. All right. Patrick Mahomes is a physical fucking specimen. He just may not focus on building certain muscles that pop on camera. Jason Kelsey is an offensive lineman. Again, a physical fucking beast. He's just got a lot of fat on him. That is not, they are not normal guys. The hot rodent trend is steering away from the hyper-masculine stereotypes historically idealized in pop culture and encouraging us to appreciate your average-looking Joe. Except these guys are hideous, and they could do something about it. When women think about the guy they can actually picture themselves being with, it turns out it's easier to do so with a sense of realism and attainability. Is it? That just means you're just settling for an ugly. Why would you do that? I understand banging someone who isn't good looking because you just want to get a fucking nut and then, that's that. But getting into a long-term situation with someone who you're physically repulsed by, but you were like, oh no, but it's cool because there was a TV show and one of the characters was also ugly like this. That to me is a wild way to fucking go about your life. To me, what that means is that you're not concerned with finding a partner. You're concerned with not dying alone. So you've convinced yourself that this guy who looks like a rodent, he looks like a rodent and smells like cigarettes. That's the way to go. It allows women the confidence to date a guy who has many traits outside of looks without having to defend her reasoning why. I love that. I love that it's right there. It's basically saying it's a way that you can justify to your friends that your boyfriend is ugly. That is exactly your friends you get together for dinner and your friends are all fucking going out with like these fucking former jocks who work in finance or fucking they're coming in, maybe a nice suit jacket over an open collar shirt, little fucking pocket square, hair's done, fucking dressed to the nines, fit, ready to fucking fuck. And then you show up with, the rat boy in a tuxedo t-shirt. He looks like fucking, what's his name from Booger from you show up with Booger from Revenge of the Nerds. It looks like Booger, but he lost a little weight due to HIV, fucking due to liver jaundice, and he smells like cigarettes. And you have to justify doing this in front of your friends because they're going to have, they have a separate group chat just to shit on you and the choice of ugly ass men that you date. But now at least you have a trendy new descriptor. He's a rat boy. My daughter brought home a rat boy. Oh, how proud your parents must be. So do you show your mother's showing your grandmother a picture of your new boyfriend and your grandmother's kind of confused and she's like, no, it's this rat boy thing. It's really big now. All the women are dating rat boys. However, the trend does have some flaws. For one thing, celebrities being labeled as radish are all white, so there's a lack of inclusivity to who can be deemed a hot rodent man. First of all, this is Men's Health. What a bunch of fucking cucks over there. I love that while describing the only people who can really have their ugliness described away by this cutesy term are white. Unfortunately, if you are a man of color, another blow against people of color in America is that if they're particularly ugly in a certain kind of way, they can't really describe themselves as rat men or rat boys. We are never going to reach equality. It's everything else could line up, but because Black and Hispanic men cannot describe themselves as hot rodent men, true equality will never be reached. And I, for one, think that some kind of reparations should be made. Um, the hot rodent archetype took hold so quickly and spread so widely on X and TikTok that it possibly never occurred to most of the people using it that it has a deeply problematic connotation, and in all likely other, because they're saying that the use of the term rat is anti-Semitic. The Western beauty standard for men has become increasingly narrow and strict, like it has for women since time immemorial. But now men who don't fall into the conventional look category can feel like they have just as much sex appeal as the men of Magic Mike. Just get a fucking gym membership. Go to the gym, work out, buy clothes that fit your body. Don't stink of cigarettes and stale coffee. By the way, if you smell of stale coffee, you know why? It's because you're farting it on yourself. It's on your breath, and it's in your fart, and it's coming out through your pores. And it's fucking gross. And you're doing that, and you're smoking cigarettes because you're a gross person. You cut it the fuck out. In a world where we advocate for inclusivity, there's something quite promising about many of our current heartthrobs resembling a normal person you may pass on the street versus a macho superhero. Do we probably need a better term to describe this boy? Yes. Do we love this type of boy is finally getting the recognition they deserve? Also, yes. But that's the thing. This is Men's Health. Men's Health should be promoting health and vitality, not walking around like a fucking bag of shit who fucking mooches off of his parents and works at a coffee shop. Like, those aren't admirable traits. Like, Men's Health should be convincing everyone to go out and work your ass off to become a fucking Giga Chad, because it is achievable. Like, seriously, you can go, if you get in good shape, you can go from being so ugly to being so good looking. This goes for men and women. Having a fit body is so fucking attractive that it can undo so much else about your appearance. Bald, big ears, fucking busted nose, and so much. Ginger, well, maybe not ginger. Even if your features don't fall quite within the order rodentia, you can still channel your inner sexy rat through your styling. Just like a real rat loves to rifle through the garbage, a sexy rat boy loves to thrift. So get down to your nearest vintage clothing store, ferret out some oversized shirts and some itty-bitty running shorts, and let your rat boy summer begin. Just fucking disgusting. Disgusting. Oh yeah. That's what the example for men should be. That's what it should be. It should be a skinny cigarette addict who fucking drinks coffee all day, smells like shit, and wears fucking ill-fitting clothing, probably has hairy ass thighs. Disgusting. Incredible that the related stories for this one, by the way. What does dad bod mean these days? What is a twink? Incredible. What's next? One more to do before I wrap it up. Real quick, I'll go because I do have to hop in the shower. College students now want designer dorms, and parents are spending thousands. Every room is done to the nines. And they're showing these designer dorms that look like they were done by interior decorators. Everything matches perfectly. This one parent said they spent $4,000 and took 2 weeks to plan. this is because, and this is again, we've really lost our way when it comes to the American college experience. Now, when I was growing up, there was the college romp movie, and they would have these sort of glamorized dorm rooms, where the guy's got like a hot tub in his dorm. Uh, and it made it made college look extra wild, right? Like a hot tub with like panties and dildos floating in it and fucking empty beer cans or whatever. Like the kind of shit that you would find where the 1990s Dallas Cowboys used to party at the White House. But you took it with a grain of salt. You knew it wasn't true, but you were like, I'm going to try to recreate this party atmosphere in my own dorm room when I get to school. So what you would do is you put up black lights and posters of chicks with big tits, and like you'd do the absolute bottle with the ripped up highlighter in the water, and it would fucking glow, and it was up on top of your thing, and you were trying to create kind of a vibe, right? But there was always, I think, one of the most important elements of the college experience. Like if you watch Animal House, the house is a fucking dump. Is living in a shithole, right? That is, to me, college is partying in shitholes. And we've created this very weird generation here who is out of the loop. Like there was kind of a shared experience, I think, between, not to constantly be getting into generations, but that's how we group everybody these days. Older millennials, Gen X, and boomers, where college was kind of like, this broke ass experience where you have enough bucks, enough cash for like $5 pitcher or two when you go out to the bar, and like you can afford, like when they do the dollar shot special, you can get some whiskey. Otherwise, you're pre-gaming hard with a couple bottles of Mad Dog 2020 or a thing of fucking SoCo, and you're getting obliterated before you go out at night. Or like, fucking jungle juice, what have you. And now we've gotten to this point where all of a sudden, like, influencer culture has, like, people are like, we're hacking and redesigning, and it's got to be this, and everything has to be perfect, and we're losing the path of what college was supposed to be. College is gross, right? College is, if you want to be a rat boy in college. Smell like, walk around in fucking sweatpants that haven't been washed in a couple weeks. What was a college campus in 2004 but a bunch of people just fucking hungover, trudging to class, smelling like booze, cigarettes, and pizza from the night before, wearing North Face fleeces and gray sweatpants, right? That was college. It doesn't, I went back to my school for a football game and a night of drinking a couple of years ago, right as the lockdown was ending. It was our reunion, so I got together with some of my old friends. We got hotel rooms, and we went out to like the old campus watering holes, and fucking everything was like nice and redone. The one bar was still a shithole, which was funny because like I thought when I was in college, I thought it was the greatest place ever. I was like, oh no, this is actually a fucking dump. But everywhere else, it was like everything was like nice and done and touched up, and like the students were going out wearing like they were wearing chains and shit and fucking button down shirts, and everything was like there was crisp and there was an aesthetic to everything. Like when I was in college, the nicest your clothing was like an Abercrombie, but it was like an Abercrombie polo, so you still just kind of looked like it was like very, it was weird, like there was a schlubbiness to everything. Dressed up it was like an idiot's version of dressed up. Now these kids all look fucking crisp. I don't get it. Again, I think it's indicative of an age group that has had its brains fucking fried. Like college to me is a shitty bar with when I was in college, there wasn't a lot of EDM. There was like a little bit of dance music like Cascada and DHT, but it was mostly like it was like rap and hip hop songs with like dance beats, like like the Flow Riders of the world, or like E40 or like Akon, and people would be grinding underneath like those color changing lights with the fucking smoke machine and some lasers going, and you would be doing like Jello shots, the disgusting floor. The floor was gross and sticky, and there'd probably be a fucking mouse run across the room. It was just like a very dark, somewhat dingy aesthetic, where kids were just grinding themselves silly against each other and trading strains of HPV and doing Adderall and cocaine and fucking. It was a great time. I remember we would, we'd have the garbage bags where we'd just be throwing our fucking empties. Our school had this temporary housing setup that had been there for like 30 years. It was basically a trailer park full of fucking these it would be like two double wides connected by a hallway. And the football team got one. Like the football guys in my class got one my senior year. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, these are getting torn down at the end of the year finally, so we can fucking build the new housing there. Shout out to McGregor Village. I wonder if I can find the McGregor Village trailers at Muhlenberg. It's all the new ones. Let's see if they have if they have old McGregor. Old McGregor was a fucking sight to be seen. Yeah, I'm not finding the old McGregor Village. Unfortunately, I wish I had a picture. They were just these very, very shitty little shanties. And what we would do is we took Sharpies and we would draw graffiti all over the walls. So like I remember I drew up just a massive, massive mural of our one friend getting fucked in the ass by another man. And I pointed, it was my buddy Hartman. I put an arrow pointing to Hartman and then an arrow pointing to the guy who was fucking him in the ass. And it just said, a gay guy. And the title of the picture was Hartman Gets Fucked in the Ass by a Gay Guy. And we would do shit like that. And there was one kid in there that was kind of a douche. So we just sprayed his room with fucking moisturizer. He was the kind of guy, he would leave, after he would have sex with his girlfriend, he would leave the condom on the top of his those little desk garbage cans where it's, they're like yay big. You put it on the floor right next to your desk. He would leave the condom right on top so that everyone who came into the room knew that he had had sex. What a douche. But it was sort of a scumbag environment, right? Like there were, beer signs all over the place and empty kegs and fucking, I would pass out on fucking garbage bags full of fucking empty beer cans. We had a funnel running from the roof to the floor. There was nothing designer about it. It was a very disgusting place. And I feel like that's what college needs to be. That is because you can't go from going to college in a fucking country club to all of a sudden you're out in the real world. And now you have these expectations and an air of entitlement where you deserve all of this shit. And it's just another little thing where they're adding to the downfall of society. That's why these little psychos are campus protesting, by the way, because they're all fucking entitled. They all live in these fucking palaces. They think that their parents just spent 5 G's to deck out a dorm that they're going to live in for 9 months. That's actually stupid. but it fills their heads with the idea that they are somehow important. Anyway, I got to wrap. To hop in the shower. I will again hopefully be live next week. Until then, Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram Gary_Moyler, Moyler, and at Mike's Golden Streams on YouTube. I love how opposite my arms look because of my ruptured fucking bicep on the camera. It looks like I have fucking some sort of birth defect. Excellent. Anyway, adios, motherfuckers. Catch us next time. Have a great